What's up everybody, Nick Lamone here, and I have a very special unboxing to do for you today. We have, of course, the ROG Xbox Ally X. This is a brand new handheld that is a collab between both the Republic of Gamers and Microsoft, and now, let's check it out. One thing that you might notice right away if you've seen a previous unboxing is that this time I'm wearing white gloves as opposed to black gloves, so please sound off in the comments below which gloves you prefer. So first up, we have the overview. It shows where we can plug this in and charge it. The USB-C slot's on the top. Power button, I think I know where that's located. And there we have it, this beautiful device. Wow. Comes wrapped here. You know what, before we actually take a look at the actual device, first of all, this is what it looks like when it's fresh out of the box. Let's take a look at all the other goodies and then we'll get to the best part last. Set that there. So let's see what other goodies we have in here. So we'll set this paper aside. Oh man, there's a box attached to the top of the box. Oh, and this is something they actually included with the previous ROG Ally X. It's a little stand for it. Feels a little bit cheap. And what else we have in here? I would assume power brick. We have the charger for the ROG Xbox Ally X. This is basically identical to the previous ROG Ally X. It's a 65 watt charger. So this will get you charged and ready to start gaming as soon as possible. USB-C slot up on the top, of course. What else do we have in here? This is just cardboard cushioning. Let's see what's in this bad boy. We have all of our instruction manuals, warranty forms, all that good stuff. Everything you need if you need to learn anything about the ROG Xbox Ally X. Let's go ahead and set that aside, and I think that's just about everything in the box, so I think we can get started with taking a look at the actual device. So now the moment of truth, the peel. Let's see, there's a little wrapper on the side here. Ooh. Ooh, this is the best part of the job right here. You get to take the plastic off for the first time. Effortless. Oh, just like that. There she is, the ROG Xbox Ally X. So one big improvement, in my opinion, that you'll notice immediately over the original device, also maybe to its detriment, is its addition of like controller handholds here. Makes it a little more ergonomic and a little more comfortable to hold after a long extended period of time of play. It looks very Xbox controller-esque in design, but let's take a little bit of a tour around on this device. So another thing that immediately stands out is the addition of the Xbox guide button here. That's something that was not on the previous ROG Ally X, and that'll assumedly bring up the Xbox UI that's integrated into this device. Up top, we see this still has the two USB-C slots right there up at the top, and that'll work perfectly with this charger here. Boom. You can also connect an external storage, whatever device you want really. You can even get a display going and output to an external display via the USB-C. We have our volume buttons right here at the top. We have a slot for a micro SD card right here. We have our power button. We have our left trigger, right trigger. Honestly, I like the little grippies that are on these triggers and the bumpers. That's real satisfying. Then you have the addition of programmable mouse 2 and mouse 1 buttons here on the back with an excellent click. Take a look at the analog sticks. We have a concave analog stick, which is nice. That way you don't lose the grippy on your thumb, which is always a nice little touch. The addition of a pretty straightforward D-pad. You kind of get everything you need out of it. Not quite as satisfying as the analog stick, but it's up there. Then you have all of your kind of UI button elements right here on the side. Two on each, one right next to you have two right next to the Xbox guide button, and then you have another two on the other side. So before we power this on, let's go ahead and compare it to other PC gaming handhelds as well as the Nintendo Switch 2. Let's start up with the Steam Deck comparison. So right away, this right here, we have a Steam Deck OLED. One immediate difference, I feel. Let's see. Honestly, pretty similar in weight. I would say the ROG Xbox Ally X is a little heavier than the Steam Deck OLED, but albeit it is a more comforting weight. One thing that immediately stands out is the addition of these kind of handles on the side that kind of almost feel like a controller. It feels just as ergonomically comfortable as using an Xbox controller, which is one of my favorite controllers currently on the market. The addition of like the grip on the back of the handles is an excellent touch because, again, very similar to what you would experience on an Xbox Series controller, and just a big fan of that design. This ain't gonna be falling out of your hands anytime soon. So the biggest difference between these two handhelds is going to be, apart from just the raw computing power of the ROG Xbox Ally X and the Steam Deck OLED, is just going to be the display, its namesake, right? So you have the OLED display versus an IPS display in the ROG Xbox Ally X. And honestly, you're not going to get much better in terms of display technology on an OLED display. It's just going to look better. Night scenes are going to look incredible on OLED, and just, I'm a huge fan. That said, the ROG Xbox Ally X's 120 Hz IPS screen is nothing to scoff at. I think a 1920 by 1080 screen is more than enough on a handheld device like this. And I think that the IPS screen is gonna look nice wherever you decide to play it. I think one of the biggest detractors from playing on an OLED screen is if you happen to go outside or have a lot of direct sunlight on your device. It can be a little bit tricky to see what you're playing. You'll have to up your brightness and thus reduce your battery life. So that about does it for about the immediate differences I can tell between the two devices, but let's go ahead and swap out the Steam Deck OLED for the Nintendo Switch 2. And now we have our Nintendo Switch 2 compared to the ROG Xbox Ally X. And before I even picked up the Nintendo Switch 2, it's gonna be significantly lighter than the ROG Xbox Ally X, but that's neither good nor bad. I actually really like the kind of overall feel of the ROG Xbox Ally X, and the Nintendo Switch 2, despite being a beautifully elegant device, it does tend to feel a little bit cheaper in my hands, but that's just a personal preference on my part. That said, they do sport similar screens and display technology. You have both feature a 1920 by 1080 display, both feature 120 Hz screens, and they both support their respective versions of VRR. The ROG Xbox Ally X is sporting AMD architecture, so it is going to make very heavy use of FSR AI upscaling, whereas the Nintendo Switch 2 is relying a lot on NVIDIA technology and some modified version of DLSS to do that AI upscaling. But that's all more under the hood. I think these two displays are going to be pretty identical overall, and you're not going to be able to tell too much of a difference. That said, I do think that the ROG Xbox Ally X, again, due to sheer computing power, is going to actually make better use overall of that 120 Hz display. But everything Nintendo's done so far has been pretty darn good in terms of actually making use of the display in handheld form. One major difference between these two displays is HDR support on the Nintendo Switch 2 and lack of HDR support on the ROG Xbox Ally X. And while the Xbox ROG Ally X doesn't support HDR natively on the display on the device, it does support HDR and Dolby Vision via the USB-C output, so long as the external display or monitor that you connect it to supports those features. Another major difference between these two devices is lack of kickstand on the ROG Xbox Ally X. Honestly, this isn't crazy. I think that the Nintendo Switch 2 might be one of the only handhelds out there right now with an actual kickstand on it. But ultimately, I think I'd rather trade in the kickstand for the handles on the side, making for just a more comfortable overall experience. But that again is just a personal preference on my part. And there you have it. That is the ROG Xbox Ally X, everything you need in a handheld gaming device that's comfortable to hold. And if you want to learn even more about the ROG Xbox Ally X, make sure you check out our official IGN review, which should be live right now, where you'll have a more thorough breakdown of all of the ROG Xbox Ally X's technical capabilities, diving into the UI elements, and so much more. And for all things everything else, make sure to stay tuned to IGN.